Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Please stand and body your spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Gathered Here, number 389.
We'll sing it in unison one time, and then we're going to split into a round, and David will lead this section, and I'll lead this section. We'll divide it in half.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body, gathered here from the struggle and the power, gathered from the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here from the struggle and the power, gathered here from the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in this one strong body, gathered here from the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Hillsborough, where we constantly strive to be an open and welcoming congregation to all who seek community and support. We don't require that we all adhere to one specific creed or common belief or ritualistic practice, but rather we are a covenant community committed to loving and supporting each other in our individual lifelong quests for truth and meaning in matters of our personal faith. So whoever you are, member, guest, or friend, and for whatever reason or purpose guided you to join us here, either in person or online, we welcome you. I'm Heather Kraft, and I'm filling in for Linda Seligman as the worship coordinator since she tested positive on Friday. So, we will miss her, but we hope she gets better soon. I want to thank everyone who has made this worship experience possible. Linda put together my script for me. Our very gifted musical director, Aviva Enoch. AC Tharrington always hands out our programs. Special thanks to our religious exploration teachers for working with our youngest members. And we also want to thank our listening ear today, which is Patty O'Connor. It's my pleasure to introduce Brian Bolin. He is one of Linda's chaplain friends from Rex Hospital. He was raised in Littleton, Colorado, and began his spiritual search while studying music in Boulder, Colorado. He lived as a student monk for 7 years in the Denver Krishna Temple, where he studied and practiced the Vedic wisdom and culture of India. During that time, he traveled on pilgrimage to India 4 times and visited his spiritual teacher's ashram in New Zealand twice. Currently, Brian is working as an interfaith chaplain at Duke Raleigh Hospital, where he provides spiritual counseling and therapy for patients who are at critical stages of their life. Brian is on a continued journey towards understanding the sacredness of all life and embraces opportunities to journey alongside others. We welcome you all today and thank you for being here. Before we create our time for worship, let us take a moment to share important announcements. First, though, this is a really good time to see that your cell phone is either turned off or silent, or as we call it, in worship mode. We are going to offer our coffee time after the service in the library. You can brave the outdoors if you want to, or spread to other parts of the building to continue your conversations. Orange County is in yellow, so masks are mandatory in the building. We have masks in the front hallway if you need one. Both the speaker and I have had COVID tests and are negative, so we will share this mic. When you use the other mic, please keep your mask on, speak louder than usual, and as clearly as possible so that everyone can hear you. Are there any other announcements for the good of the community?
The Songbirds, which is our singing group here at UCH, is going to be practicing in this room. After the service, we'll have about a 10-minute break for coffee, bio break, and then be back here. And anybody that wants to can join us this afternoon. We're going to be singing at the service next week and the week after. So we have 2 songs we're going to practice. Neither of them are very hard, and it shouldn't take more than half an hour. So anyone who's interested in singing with us is welcome to stay. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Jen Hancock, and a reminder that our middle school curriculum starts today called Crossing Paths, and over the course of this semester, we'll be learning about other religions, going on visits, and kind of also learning a lot about ourselves in the process. So, see you in the blurt, the blue yurt, blurt. Yeah, I can't remember which one. Not the girt.
This afternoon at 4 o'clock, the Northern Orange NAACP will be meeting here at UCH for their installation of new officers. Everyone is welcomed and encouraged to come as they are one of our community partners.
Hi y'all, I'm Amy, the program administrator here, and I want to remind you about Chalice Circles, which are starting next month. They're probably the best way to plug in and get to know your community and deepen your faith and your fellowship and friendships. Please sign up. You can sign up in your through the newsletter or contact me directly. They're on Tuesdays and Sundays, February through June, once a month. It's an awesome opportunity. Please sign up. Also, the directory is coming. I promise it's my next priority now that I've gotten over some humps. So hopefully within the next month I'll have that all settled. So stay tuned and send me your info if it needs to be updated.
Hi, I'm Shauna Saunders. Just a reminder that the RE team is meeting around 11:45 or soon after service in the RE room. So anybody who's interested in children's RE is welcome.
If there are no more announcements, let's prepare ourselves for our service. We'll begin with the lighting of our chalice, our time-honored symbol of the light and loving warmth of our community of faith. Our chalice words are "Steadied by Each Other" by Reverend Scott Taylor. Pulled in many directions by the demands of our days, we light this chalice to remind us of the still point deep inside. Made unsteady by the winds of unpredictable paths, we light this chalice to remember the shelter of each other. Longing for lights that lead us back to our truest selves, we kindle this chalice to illuminate the faces of friends and sacred companions. Recalling once again that we find our way through the willingness to take each other's hand. The opening words is "The Hearts of Our Faith" by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you the power to make that change, to ask that question, to take that journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our own faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. Please stand and body your spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 1008 in the teal hymnal. My son Jacob is going to be joining me. Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the special happenings that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent. Here we make room for both. For those of you who would like to share aloud, please take a moment before we begin to center yourself and collect your thoughts so that what you share this morning is personal, heartfelt, and brief. When you're ready, please come forward, tell us your name, and share what is in your heart. When you're finished, you may release a stone into the vase on the altar. For those of you joining us online and would like to share your joys or concerns with us, please put it in the chat and tell us if you would like it read aloud, and we can drop a stone for you. We're going to take the first spot. who prefer to silently acknowledge your joys and sorrows remaining in your hearts, I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence while Aviva plays Dark of Winter. After she plays it through, you're all invited to join us in singing. The words are printed in your order of service. Hold all of these things within the heart of this community, both spoken and unspoken, by remaining silent for a moment as we consider what has been shared and how we might respond. Let us close together with Amen and blessed be. We're now going to sing our children to their classes with the Children's Blessing, located in the back cover of your gray hymnal.
Please do. Before I begin, I just want to offer a few prayers to my teachers who have helped me so much in my spiritual path. Om Gyana Tinarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurudev Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi, Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Am I allowed to take this off?
Yes.
So thank you all for offering your attention, and also I would like to thank Linda for inviting me to come here and be with you all for this day. What does it mean to be centered? I've been thinking about that for a few weeks now, since I heard that this was the topic. And I've been thinking how it can be a very elusive thing to be centered. Sometimes we may find it when we're out in the mountains hiking with nobody around. Sometimes we may find it in our meditation or prayer or reading. Sometimes we might find it in the midst of a chaotic day, and we somehow come to find it randomly. And sometimes we might find it in our prayer or meditation and think we're centered, and then walk out and the first person we talk to makes us question, were we actually centered? Many of us have experiences of how we might have a certain sense of peace, and then our circumstances in life, or someone we talk to, or someone we drive by, might bump us out of that centeredness. So not only is it hard to understand what it means to be centered, but it's also hard to understand how to be centered and how to remain centered. I have a friend who is a music teacher, which I also did for 1 year, so I could relate with him a little bit. And he was sharing his experience. He's also very into just a personal meditation practice. And he shared how he was surprised a few times when he came into class after doing very nice centering meditation, and he was expecting that his students would pick up on his aura of centeredness, and he was quickly reminded that they don't. Now, that's not to say that his practice of meditation and being centered is definitely helping him to be kind and loving to his students, and to probably have more of a higher tolerance level, so many different things. But sometimes we can have the conception that my centeredness, my centered bubble will not pop by coming in touch with anybody else's centeredness bubble. And unfortunately, this is what makes it difficult. When we have a conception of centeredness that's only around our personal life and does not expand beyond anything beyond us as we see ourselves today, then we become conflicted. We find ourselves sometimes becoming conflicted. Kind of like if you were to drop a stone into a calm pond, there will be ripples, very nice ripples, that will be emanating in all directions from that stone. And it'll look very nice. But if you drop another stone in a different center, those ripples come and cause conflict. So this is an example of how, if we have an idea of our own center as separate from someone else's center, then it can be difficult So how does this work then? For us to be centered in our own life and also be centered or not become disturbed by the centeredness of others or the lack of centeredness of others. Either way. So there is a conception in the Vedic practices of how to do this. And it is illuminated a little bit in one scripture called the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is one of the original teachings of India, where Krishna explains in many different ways what it means for someone to be centered. He says that such a person is not just someone who's sitting on top of a mountain not doing anything. It's might seem much easier to be centered when there's nothing around you to distract you. But Krishna says that one who is centered and in that spiritual consciousness is actually able to act within the world and do all different things and have their mind remain fixed. The analogy is given that like a candle, just like this candle we see here. Because there's no wind, not much wind, the candle is very steady. So it's said that the mind of a transcendentalist is like that. Although going through so many different activities in the day, their mind is fixed, he says, in meditation on the transcendent self. So the Vedic scriptures teach that the self is actually beyond the body and also beyond the mind. And therefore, when one is in touch with the true self, then their mind is naturally peaceful. And in this way, one can actually experience a sense of centeredness that goes beyond just the peacefulness of the mind. It's a platform that is beyond the body and beyond the mind, described in the Vedas as the Atma, or the soul. And one may ask then, how is it that by being in touch with one's true self beyond the platform of the mind, one can still be in harmony with so many other selves, persons who are walking in the world? I was also a musician. I studied music in school, so I visited many concerts and have a personal fondness for orchestra concerts. And in an orchestra, each individual is, you could say, centered in their own personal role in the music. And yet, when the orchestra plays, they are all together. So there's a way in which one's centeredness allows them to act in harmony with the greater whole. In this analogy of an orchestra, it's very clear that each player has an individual role to play. And each player is also meant to act in harmony with the greater whole. So similarly, in our life, being centered not only means being peaceful within our own life, but acting in harmony with a greater whole. So however we understand or recognize that whole, when we learn to act in harmony with it, then we not only come in touch with our true self, but also are able to connect with others and their true selves. Similarly, another analogy is given. In a family, each family member has an individual role to play, an individual relationship. And yet, when the family is united in one common interest, then there's harmony. So, it's described in the Vedic scriptures that all living beings are part of one divine spiritual family. And we are meant to act in harmony with one another and with all things, actually. Not only human, but all of nature. One of the words for God in the Vedic scriptures, there's a phrase called Janmadyasya Yatha, which means that from which all things have emanated. So coming back to our analogy of the rock dropping in the pond, many different ripples come from the pond in all different directions. And yet there is that original source, which is the rock. So God in the Vedic scriptures is described as that. And all different spiritual traditions are emanating from that one source. So the process that I would like to introduce and invite you all after the sermon today is I would like to invite you to participate in a kirtan, which is a process of reconnecting with that divine source. The words in the mantra are representations of the divine, and they consist of it's actually a very simple mantra. You can find it in the program. 3 words: Hare, Krishna, and Rama. So the word Hare is a reference to the divine feminine, and specifically the compassionate aspect of the divine. Krishna means the reservoir of all pleasure, the all-attractive one. And it is a name for the divine masculine. And Rama is the source of all strength, another name for the divine masculine. And by practicing this process of a communion through sound, one can very effectively get in touch with their center and experience a centeredness of one's individual self, as well as the centeredness and a connection with all others in their individual selves. And the mantra also has a prayer connected with it. There are actually many translations of the meaning of the mantra, but one that is very commonly used is very congenial for the topic of centeredness. And that is, it is simply a calling out to the divine and asking, please engage me in service. Please allow me to act in harmony with your will. And please help me to connect with my true self beyond the temporary designations that I might have. So I would invite you to participate after we finish this talk, and not only offer your words, but also offer your attention in the process, and your heart and your mind. It's stated also within the Bhagavad Gita that the happiness one feels when one is engaged in harmony with the divine is beyond anything within temporary experience. It's stated that when one feels that happiness, they feel that there's nothing else that they need. And I'm sure many of you have had experiences like this. It is one of the most basic experiences of enlightenment or divine communion, where one recognizes that all I need is to feel connection with the absolute, with the truth. So, I would like to conclude here, and it's common in my tradition to also ask for questions and comments. If that is acceptable,
Yes.
I would very much like to open that up because we do have a few minutes left.
Absolutely.
So I've shared a few thoughts with you, and I do hope that they've been relevant for you and helpful in your own spiritual journey. And I invite you to offer any comments or questions or anything that resonated with you. Yes.
Are you part of a community of practice here locally?
Yes, there's actually a community here in Hillsborough.
Can you name it?
It's the Krishna temple, and it's called Nugoloka Krishna temple. Yeah, it's the ISKCON temple. I don't know, it's maybe 5 or 10 minutes from here. And the tradition that I come from, this chanting practice, is the main practice of connecting. And it's also described as a process of cleansing the heart, as I was describing that we have different conceptions that can take us off center. And the chanting process cleanses the heart of all those misconceptions and puts us in touch with our true nature, which is eternal. Yes?
When engaging in kirtan, are people seated, standing, moving?
Moving is welcome. Actually, the process of kirtan is generally done with dance. So when we do it, if you feel inclined, you're welcome to stand up and move, or as you like. But generally, for people, it is a new experience, so not everyone feels ready to jump in like that. But I don't know, this is the Unitarian Universalist Church. Maybe you guys are on a different level. Yes? That's what I'll be using for the kirtan.
What's it called?
It's called a harmonium. Yes?
How did you get introduced to all of this?
I started seeking spirituality when I was in college and was drawn to Eastern traditions because I appreciated the outlook of Eastern philosophy and religion. It wasn't so exclusivist. And when I came in touch with the Bhagavad Gita, it answered so many questions that I had in very complete ways. And I found, as I mentioned, it was mentioned in the bio, that I got in touch with a temple community in Denver, Colorado. And community is very important in spiritual life, and that community was very inspiring for me. I saw people who were practicing what they were preaching, and there was also a practice of how to actually go about developing a spiritual consciousness. So that's the short version. Yes.
What does your family of origin think about all of this? I mean, were they accepting, embracing your?
Initially, they were very weary because specifically ISKCON in a social context has some interesting perceptions. Many people have interesting perceptions about, maybe some of you in your generation remember Krishna devotees in airports and things. And so my parents were a little concerned. But as they saw that I practiced and I became happy and my lifestyle was clean, they began to appreciate it. And now they very much appreciate it. But it's been a journey. Well, I think we can end here, and that also offers a little more time for doing a little longer kirtan, I think. And I would just like to thank you all for offering, again, your attention and inviting me to be here. And I hope I offered something of benefit for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very tall again. There we go. So at this time each Sunday, we take up a monetary offering which supports our social justice work in our Orange County community. This month, our plate goes to Orange County Justice United. Please donate by putting cash or checks in the offering plate. And if you write a check, please write plate in the memo line. You can also go to our website, uuchnc.org, and click the donate button, or you can use the QR code printed in your order of service, and we thank you for your generosity.
So I'll just give a quick description of how this works. It's a call and response. So as I mentioned, you can see the words in your program. And I will sing the entire mantra through. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then everyone else will respond back with the whole mantra. And then again, I'll sing, and then everybody else responds. Okay? And I'll start with just a few invocation mantras. And actually, we can just go right into it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Good. Hare Rama, Hare Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian and Aviva and Tristan. Please join me in the prayer of collective gratitude found in your order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. Please stand and bow your spirit as we sing our closing hymn, As We Leave This Friendly Place, number 414. We're going to sing it through twice. Closing words are Sharing What We Found by Reverend Scott Taylor. Oh, you may be seated. Having found stillness, may we share peace. Having received connection, may we reach out to others. Having heard the call of our deepest self, may we live in greater alignment. Having returned to our center, may we expand the circle of love. Please join me in the prayer written in your order of service as we extinguish our sacred UU chalice. Somebody will extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, my friends, and blessed be.